Your positioning gets people to lean in, but it's the next 40 minutes, the body of your free class, that actually decides whether they buy or whether they just say, hey, great content, and disappear. Today, I'm gonna hand you the exact 4-part formula I use in the middle of every single one of my classes: pain, promise, proof, and the plan. And it's the thing that takes somebody from, this is kind of interesting, all the way to, okay, I have to have this. Hi, it's Lisa. Welcome back to the channel. So this is the second video in our series. If you'd like to see the first one, check out the link in the description. And on the first video, we covered the very first P of the 5 Ps of a profitable class. And that was all about positioning. Positioning had so much to it, 5 points all in and of itself, that it got its very own video. Now, if you haven't watched that one, you're definitely gonna wanna go back and grab it. Now today, we're gonna cover the other 4. And I'll tell you, this is the formula I've refined over many years of doing this. I've used this exact thing as the heart of so much of my work, many of my launches. So even if you're one of my students who's already been running with this, stay tuned, because I learn things ongoingly as I stay in the game and put these things to the test. And I'm sure I'll take it a little further than things that you've heard before. So a quick recap. Step 1 was positioning, and that takes about the first maybe 10 minutes of your class. We're assuming you're doing something like a 75 to 90 minute masterclass. So after those first 10 minutes, the majority of your class, really about maybe 40 to 45 minutes, depending on the length, is going to be steps 2, 3, and 4. And here's the thing, 2, 3, and 4 are not a perfect straight line. They're really more like elements that you weave together into the body of your class. So let me just tell you what they are, and then we'll walk through each one, and then I'll cover step 5 all by itself. So here they are. Step 2 is pain. Step 3 is promise or hope. And step 4 is proof. So let me show you how these weave together. So remember, by the time we get here, you've already positioned. People know the transformation you offer, they know what you're gonna cover, they get that you're credible, that they can also connect with you, and they know that they're in the right place because of things that you shared in your positioning. Plus, you've already planted that little seed, right? They know you're gonna give them as much as you possibly can, and that a little ways down the line, you're gonna show them how to get more. Signature Lisa Sasevich, okay? So now we get into the body. So step 2 is the pain. The first thing you've gotta do in the body is help people tap into the pain that they have in your area of expertise. And here's a mindset piece that you have to walk in already knowing. If they didn't have some kind of pain in that area, they wouldn't even be listening to you. They wouldn't be in that room, they wouldn't be in that masterclass, they wouldn't be spending their precious time or precious money, their precious energy to sit there and hear what you have to say. So you have to know that the pain is already there. Your job is just to help them feel and connect to it and feel understood. Now, it doesn't mean they're lying on the floor writhing in agony. It might be quieter than that. Like, I know there's a gap between where you are right now, no matter how successful you are, and where you can see yourself being out there with your expertise and reaching the world in a bigger way, because you're here. Maybe you've tried before and the results were great and then dismal, or maybe you just haven't known how to have it happen over again. You've got this vision, you've got this gift, and it needs to get out there, and you want to teach and you want to impart what you know. So here you are sitting with that vision, and there's this gap that you want to fill, and you're right here, and that's what's bringing us together. That right there that has you here is the pain, and people need to feel like you truly get where they're at. So for example, in the first video, I told you how I used to go out and lead seminars for another company, and 60 or 70% of the room would register right on the spot. Incredible. But I'd still go home and have pain. In fact, occasionally I would cry about the 30 or 40% who didn't register because I knew that they came for something that I did have to offer. And I just hadn't said the right thing to help them to take action. And now you can probably relate to that, right? Because you've probably had somebody right there in front of you, somebody you knew you can help, and you just didn't have the right way to present it to them so that they could grab it, so that they could trust it, so they could move forward. So that's what we're doing with the pain. You're helping people feel understood, and you're creating that gap between where they are and where they really, really know they can be and want to be. And by the way you do this is with real words and real stories, a lot like the one I just told you. So let's say you teach copywriting. You probably know your clients are sitting there with writer's block. They don't know what to say. They don't have a template. They've tried, they've scheduled time to do it. They've tried using AI and just ended up with all kinds of generic stuff that really didn't get them there. And then they go do the laundry instead of doing the writing that they need to do. I mean, we've all been there. So you speak right into that pain with the real words and the real concerns that they actually have so that they get that you understand them and that you are the person who can help. And then you start to open up what's possible. Like, what if you sat down and there were just templates you could fill in? You literally fill in the words and your opt-in page pops right out, right? That's possible now. Perfectly designed, real and authentic, and it sells. And so you see how that creates the gap between the pain they were sitting with and what's possible? Now, step 3 comes on the heels of that, and that's promise or hope. So if pain is here's where you are, promise is here's where you want to be. This is where you start to really give some content. You get people started. You give them something they can take action on right away toward that dream. Maybe they want the body they've always dreamed of, or to finally feel the energy and vitality that they've been missing instead of dragging through the day, unable to focus. And you paint that picture, the promise, the hope. And then you give them a real place to get started so that they can begin experiencing it as soon as possible. Now, step 4 is where the proof comes in, or in the bigger sense, they call it social proof, right? Now, part of how you show what's possible is through social proof, including case studies, testimonials, success stories. You might show a case study of someone who had that exact pain, and now look at the promise. Look at what's possible for a real live person. It might be a testimonial somebody wrote about, the breakthrough that they had. It might be a full success story. It could be on video, text. There's a lot of formats. And I'm gonna let you in on a little secret here. I actually prefer case studies and success stories over testimonials. I'll give you the behind the scenes on why. So with a testimonial, the focus is all on you, or, in my case, on me. It'd be like one of my members of my Monetize Your Mission mentorship getting up and saying, they did my work and made $1 million in their first year, and now they have more time with their family and all the lovely things. But it's pointed at me, of sort of like what happened to them because of me. And I only want to hear so much of that about myself or really about somebody else. What I love is a good case study or success story. And that is where the focus is on the person and the success that they had, right? It's on the client, but it also shows you what's possible for you. And then sure, let's face it, there's a beautiful backhanded testimonial that's inherent in it for me and my work. So credibility is getting built for me at the same time. But the energy stays where it belongs, and that is really what's possible for the person watching. So it's a little tip, but it really is gold. We want to keep the energy focused on the prospective client. All right, so that's pain. We've talked about promise. We've talked about proof. People are sitting there now really feeling, where they want to be. They're sitting right in that gap. And they're starting to think, wow, if I was ever going to make a change, this probably would be a good time. But there's one more thing that they need to see before any of that turns into action. And that's step 5. It's the moment where you finally keep the promise you made at the start in the positioning. So stay with me because this is the piece that kind of ties the whole thing together. So step 5 is the plan. So they're sitting in the gap. They've got this credible person, you, in front of them that's shown them the way, opened the possibilities, shown the case studies. They've seen social proof. And the very next thing they need to see is that there's an actual plan. Like, okay, I get it. I want to transform. So how do I do it? And here's the beautiful part. The plan is really just a transition. It can be as simple as the last bullet of the body of your talk where you're saying something like, hey, we've done a lot of great work together today. We've opened up a lot of possibility. Now let's look forward at what you can do with all of what we've learned today, right? Or maybe it's, here's how to take today's information and turn it into a real and lasting transformation in your life. Or very simply, you could say, here's how you can have your own XYZ, whatever the transformation is. So you see what's happening is that the plan is like this bridge where you're moving from, I did exactly what I promised, I gave you a ton of content, into remembering the seed from the very beginning in the positioning part where you said, I'm going to show you how to take it further. And the plan is where you actually loop back around and you keep that promise. You show them how to take it further. And there's really nothing that builds trust faster than a promise made in the beginning and a promise kept at the end, right there in the same hour. And so that's the magic. That's really the body of your free class: pain, promise, proof, and then the plan. You put that together with your positioning, and you've got a class that just doesn't just inform people, it actually involves them. High recommendation to grab my Irresistible Offer Blueprint at the link below or scan the QR code on the screen, because all of this work 10 times better really when the offer underneath is crystal clear. So get that free, fill it in, and then you'll be ready to put all these pieces together, make your offer irresistible, and make sure that you're really building a presentation that can lead to it. Now, if you really love what I'm saying and you'd actually like some help with this, there is a next step you can take beyond downloading the Irresistible Offer Blueprint, and that would be to join me in my Monetize Your Mission mentorship program. That's where I'm showing up twice a month, 2 90-minute Zoom sessions with some of my just top clients from over the years and some folks who have found me recently. And what we all have in common is we know that focusing on our irresistible offer with support on a regular basis is the number one thing you can do to get out there, to sell more, to attract the right ideal clients, and to really have all the work that we're all doing to be seen, to be on social, to make our contribution, actually pay with having the right clients see your offer and say yes to themselves on the spot. So with the Monetize Your Mission mentorship, we'll also put the link below there, and you can get started with that. Come on in, and literally, like within days from now, you can have me looking directly at your offer and be learning our other tools to really keep the fire burning with your sales conversion on a consistent basis.